Today we're going to talk about how to get 1 month ahead in your budget. This is also known as breaking the paycheck to paycheck cycle. I'm going to explain how this works, and then I'm going to show you how it works in a budget spreadsheet. Let's say that the total of your monthly bills and expenses plus your sinking funds and non-monthly expenses all comes to $5,000 a month. That is also known as your monthly take-home pay. So if you bring home $5,000 a month, you are not spending $5,000 a month, but you are budgeting $5,000 a month because it is going into categories to spend and categories to save. One of the biggest problems, the biggest reason people struggle with budgeting is that they make a budget based on their take-home pay, and they don't actually do it the way I just said. They just do it based on their bills. And then they're like, well, this is fine. I make that much a month. I spend less than that a month. So like, what's the problem? Well, here's the problem. When you're starting out with budgeting and you're basically living paycheck to paycheck, you don't have $5,000 in your bank account on the first of the month or on like the last day of a month as you enter a new month, right? You have, let's say, $2,700 in your bank account on the first of the month. So if all of your budget categories total $5,000, you only have $2,700 and you can't fund all of them right away. Now, the very definition of breaking the paycheck to paycheck cycle and being 1 month ahead, which is the same thing, is having the full amount that you need for the whole month in your bank account on the first of the month. So if you're starting here where you close out a month with this left in your bank account, your goal is to get to here where you close out the month and you have $5,000 sitting there ready to put in your budget categories for the new month. Now, to be clear, I don't mean $5,000 total to your name. I mean $5,000 that hasn't already been budgeted in sinking funds and non-monthly expenses. So for example, if you've got $1,000 in your sinking fund for your emergency fund, that doesn't count as part of this, right? This $5,000 is new money that you need to fund the new month. It's not all the things that you've been saving up for. So what this means in practice is that your paychecks in, let's say, January, you don't need them in January. You could literally like not even cash them, not even put them in your account. You will only need them starting February 1st to pay February's bills and fund February's budget categories. That is what it means to be 1 month ahead and to break the paycheck to paycheck cycle. So now I'm going to show you what this actually looks like in a budget spreadsheet as you try to navigate this and get to this point. In this example, the take-home pay for the month is $4,200. The total cash across checking and savings is currently $4,493.28. So you might be thinking like, wow, okay, they're 1 month ahead because they have more than 1 month's worth of expenses. But that's not really true. So when you come over here and you get ready to start budgeting for the month, you first have to put sinking funds and savings dollars back into the correct envelope. So I have a list of this. I would be referring to my previous month's spreadsheet as I do this. But so the rollover for things like we've got car insurance, we were saving $350 for that. And the Amazon Prime subscription, we've got $60 saved up for that. We've got $500 for the holiday fund, $200 saved up for vacation, and we've got $700 in the emergency fund. That was the savings account. So those things were already saved up. So that means that we have $26.83 left over to budget for the new month. We're heading into December here, and we're pretending it's December 1st, and these are our dollars to budget for this month. I am now going to assign these dollars into the assigned this month column for the categories that need to be paid first this month, and I'm going to budget this all the way to 0, and then I'll show you where it stands. All right, so I've assigned dollars to the bills that need to be paid before the next paycheck arrives, as well as to funds like groceries, gas, dining out, things that need to be spent, and we've partially funded some of those because we don't have the full amount yet. Over the course of the month, we will be tracking our expenses as they come out. So if rent was like $1,800, we say it came out of rent, we spent it from checking, and then as you can see, our rent category is now down to 0. We mark off that we paid it. We've made some of our payments to debt initially in the month, And then we've also paid some of our bills and bought things like groceries and gas. Our checking account started at $37.93 and it is now down to $11.98. On the 13th, we get a paycheck. So we're gonna log that here and we're gonna say that we got $2,100, which is half of our monthly take-home pay, and that goes into checking. Our checking account has increased and our money to budget has now increased to $2,100. We're now going to fill in the gaps of everything that we couldn't budget for in December. We're gonna go down the line and we need $40 for Bank of America. We need $342 for the car loan. We need $24 for Netflix. And then we really needed $600 total for groceries. So I'm gonna overwrite the $225. We needed $150 for gas. We really wanted $50 for dining out ultimately. And then we go down to our non-monthly bills and sinking funds. We need $175 for car insurance, $15 for Amazon Prime, $80 for the holiday gift fund, $50 for vacation. We'd like to put in $100 for clothes and personal care. The emergency fund, we need $100 to add to that this month. Right now, we are down to $700 of this paycheck left to budget. So you'll notice we have this special category called next month's money, and it has a dollar amount listed here. That dollar amount is not listed as a monthly target or goal. So if you use this zero debt budget, you probably know how this works, that we don't want that amount to be in here because that's going to mess up your planning page. It's just here to tell you that that is your goal, that within this month, you want to set aside $27.50 so that you have that as you move into the next month. So if I move that all down there and that's in a holding place, we are still waiting on one more paycheck this month. And we know that we've basically put $700 in an envelope and said, we're not spending it until the month rolls over and the next month begins. And we're gonna have to use that money to, pay rent or whatever it is that we need to use in the beginning of the month. Okay, so let's say it's now the 27th of the month. We've listed more of our transactions that have all happened throughout the month. It is time to enter our next paycheck. So we receive our second paycheck of the month for $2,100, and that also goes into checking. Now we have $2,100 to budget. So if no other expenses have come up that have totally derailed your budget and thrown you off, you do have this money available to send here. So what we're gonna do is add that in there. It's gonna be $2,828. Let's see if that's right. Yep, and then it budgets to zero. And this is the money we have in a holding pattern ready to roll over into the next month. We've cleared our target, so that means we have enough to pay all of our monthly bills and expenses through the next time that we get a paycheck. But here's what ends up happening. We've set aside about $50 extra right here, but over the course of the month, we have not fully spent our other categories. So for example, we have $744 left over from what we reserved for the electric bill this month. We've got $422 here. We have $35 from groceries. We've got $10.77 from gas. And when you total all of this up, this comes to $57.52. And this money in the rollover process for the next month will get pulled out and pushed back up to the top. And that's going to get added into this amount. So we really have $100 extra beyond our minimum of what we need to get started with the next month. And each month as you do this, that gap is going to grow. When you get into the habit of checking your budget categories, not your bank account balance, before you spend money, this gap will grow because you will inevitably spend less and make choices that are going to put you ahead for breaking the paycheck to paycheck cycle. If we need $4,200 to fund a whole month, over time, you'll get to the point where this number is $4,200 on the last day of the month, and then that money goes back up to the top at the start of the next month to fully fund all of the categories on the first of the month. And that means you've broken the paycheck to paycheck cycle. It means that you are 1 month ahead in your budget. All right, if you've got any questions about how to break the paycheck to paycheck cycle, you can drop those in the comments below.